Most health emergencies don't begin with a dramatic event. They begin with something so small, almost nobody notices. A slower walk, a forgotten routine, less conversation, a meal that suddenly goes unfinished. Family members don't miss these things because they don't care. They miss them because they don't see them every day. Professional caregivers don't have sharper eyesight than you do. They simply have something most families don't: a front row seat to everyday life. When you know what normal looks like, you can recognize the moment something changes. And that's often where the biggest difference is made. At Caring Senior Service, our caregivers spend thousands of hours helping older adults remain safely independent at home. Those daily visits give them a unique ability to recognize subtle changes long before they become emergencies. Today, we're going to show you exactly what experienced caregivers notice first, why those observations matter, and how catching these small changes early can help seniors stay healthier, safer, and independent longer. Families often see snapshots. Professional caregivers see routines. They know how fast someone usually walks, how much breakfast they normally eat, how often they laugh, how easily they get out of their favorite chair. Because they know what's normal, they notice what's different.
Sometimes it's best if it comes from a caregiver because you're not here every day, but Gail is or Tammy is.
That's one of the biggest advantages of consistent home care. A caregiver isn't comparing today to 6 months ago. They're comparing today to yesterday. And that's when subtle changes become obvious. Those changes often appear physically first, not as an emergency, but as tiny differences in movement. Professional caregivers pay attention to movement because movement tells a story. Someone reaches for furniture when they never used to. Standing takes a little longer. They shuffle instead of lifting their feet. They avoid the stairs. They seem unusually tired after walking across the room. Each change seems small. Together, they reveal a pattern. According to the CDC, falls remain one of the leading causes of injury among older adults, making early recognition of mobility changes especially important. That's why professional caregivers aren't just watching what seniors do. They're noticing how they do it.
She had an inhaler, and we watch how she inhales with the inhaler, and she doesn't inhale it. She lets it hold in her mouth. So we spoke with her PCP and got her on a nebulizer, and that has made a huge difference. So just being able to recognize.
That's a perfect example. It wasn't a medical emergency. It was a subtle observation during an ordinary visit. Those are the kinds of moments that can make a real difference. Sometimes, the clues aren't physical at all. They're hiding inside the home itself. Professional caregivers don't just observe people. They observe environments. Mail starts piling up. Laundry isn't getting folded. Favorite rooms stop being used. Expired food collects in the refrigerator. Medication bottles aren't where they usually are. Loose rugs become trip hazards. Small obstacles begin appearing throughout the house. Families often don't notice these changes because they're focused on spending time together. Caregivers are trained to recognize risk.
You guys have to recognize, so whether it's clutter, it's loose rugs, no grab bars, you have to be able to educate them on why there is a concern and what it could potentially cause.
That's what a home safety assessment is really about. Not pointing out problems, preventing them. The goal isn't simply making a home look safer. It's helping someone stay there safely for as long as possible. But the most overlooked changes often happen during conversation. Professional caregivers spend hours talking with seniors. That means they notice when stories become repetitive, when someone suddenly struggles to find words, when they stop participating in conversations, or when they become unusually withdrawn. These changes don't automatically mean dementia. Medication changes, poor sleep, hearing loss, depression, or dehydration can all affect communication. But experienced caregivers understand something important. Changes deserve attention, not assumptions.
Just trying to educate the family on how the brain changes, that they can hold on to an old memory and they can associate it with everybody.
Sometimes what families interpret as stubbornness is actually confusion. Sometimes what looks like forgetfulness is something that deserves a conversation with a healthcare provider. Recognizing the difference is one more way caregivers help families navigate aging with confidence. So why do professional caregivers notice these things? When most people don't, it comes down to one word: training. Experience matters, but so does education. Professional caregivers are trained to recognize changes families may never think to look for. Not because families aren't capable, because families are busy being sons, daughters, spouses, and grandchildren. Caregivers have a different role: observation, documentation, communication.
We want to make our caregivers better, so we provide the training. They have a larger tool set, and the clients appreciate it because, yes, their caregiver is competent.
Training doesn't replace compassion, it strengthens it. When compassion is combined with experience, caregivers can recognize patterns before those patterns become crises. One missed meal isn't necessarily alarming. One slower walk isn't unusual. One forgotten appointment happens to everyone. But caregivers don't look at isolated moments. They look for trends. Several small changes together often reveal a much bigger picture. That's why consistent home care can be so valuable. Not because someone is always doing something, because someone is always noticing something. Here's the biggest takeaway. Professional caregivers don't see something different. They see something earlier because they're there. They know the routines. They know the habits. They know what's normal. And when normal begins to change, they're often the first to recognize it. Sometimes those changes lead to a simple conversation. Sometimes they lead to a doctor's appointment. Sometimes they prevent a fall, a hospitalization, or a crisis that never has to happen. That's why great caregiving isn't just about helping with today. It's about protecting tomorrow. If you're caring for an aging parent, we'd love to hear from you. What's one small change you noticed that made you realize your loved one needed a little more support? Share your story in the comments. It might help another family recognize those same signs a little sooner.